There's a real intersection in the sense that when people's basics are covered, they have the ability to look up and think about the other things that are affecting their community.
I'm kind of interested in this. So they're talking about all of this existing inequality, right? And then COVID hits and we're suddenly a team of 5 million and we've got all of this rhetoric around rebuilding, but not too much of it seems to be talking about a climate change response. Do you think that's fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. I haven't seen any sort of really strong visionary plan, either from the government or any political party for that matter, that is looking at how we can use this opportunity of the rebuild after the pandemic to address the crises that, as Andrew was saying, are coming or are actually already here and affecting us, but will affect us more in future. And I think that's such a shame and such a missed opportunity because the work that we need to do to be able to address those challenges, so climate change and ecological devastation, that is work that is very jobs rich in a context where we're trying to create employment for people. So you can just imagine, putting in solar panels and insulation in hundreds of thousands of homes, or building wind turbines across the country, or building railways and cycleways, restoring nature, planting trees. This is really jobs-rich work, and it is work that will make us more resilient to future shocks, whether they are climate-related, whether they are pandemics, whether they are economic. So I think that's a real tragedy of vision at the moment, and I hope to see, as we get closer to the election, some more ambition coming out of our political parties and connecting these things. And I really love the idea of universal basic services because it does intersect climate change is a social justice issue as well as an environmental issue, and that's something we often overlook. And there's a real intersection in the sense that when people's basics are covered, they have the ability to look up and think about the other things that are affecting their community. So people have the ability and the time and the energy to fight to protect their children's future, treasured places that are at risk. So that's one aspect of basic services that I think intersects with climate issues. There's more obvious ones like having universal access to public transport. Obviously, here in New Zealand, road transport is our fastest growing source of carbon emissions. Yes. And so many people are without access to low carbon alternatives. So it's just such an obvious intersection of providing people with access to be able to commute comfortably and conveniently to where they need to get to, but also cutting our emissions dramatically. And when it comes to housing, similarly, having good quality housing makes you more resilient in the face of climate impacts. I'm thinking extreme heat, extreme weather, but also it cuts emissions at a time like when we use our energy most is sort of in the winter evening peaks, and that's when we're firing up coal and gas to meet that need. So there are so many intersections here, and I just think it's a bit of a shame that we haven't seen that realization from our political parties yet, but I think there is an opportunity. And, like I said, climate change is a social justice issue. Climate change is an inequity multiplier because it is the rich and privileged who will be able to shelter themselves from the impacts of climate change, and it is the people who are already marginalized who will suffer the brunt of the impacts, whether that's, a flooded home that you can't, afford to fix, or whether it's having to deal with higher costs of food because of drought and extreme weather and so on. So I think there's so many opportunities in the COVID recovery to build back better, and I would really love to see some more courageous and visionary action from our political parties who are all asking for us to represent, to be our representatives in the coming election. So let's put some pressure on them to do that.